These podcasts are moving really quick. We're already on episode 5, and for my 5th guest, I've got Rahman Farnell, aka Chima, who is a fashion designer and clothing brand owner based out of Okinawa, Japan. I've known Rahman for a long time, so we've spent a while catching up. We talked about the difference between Japan and America, his time in Chicago, his fashion brand, but we also spoke in Japanese for a couple minutes, and I do announce that, so if you're on Spotify or a podcasting app, there's going to be a couple minutes where you may not understand, but if you skip ahead, we'll switch right back to English. Luckily, if you're on YouTube, I do have subtitles that I've written out for that, so if you want to know what we said in Japanese, just head over to the YouTube link, and you can watch the video itself with the subtitles and see what we are talking about. So without further ado, here's the episode. Be sure to check out VavilonClothing.com to see what kind of clothing he makes. And yeah, enjoy. So for people that don't know, how do you go by? I've always known you as Chima since you were probably like 12. So I don't.
Right.
What do people call you now?
Well, the people still do call me Chima. That were people that I'm like kind of close, not close, but like just friends with. Like we kind of see each other all the time. Then they call me Chima, but most of the people know me as Rahman.
Okay.
That's my real name, Rahman.
Yeah.
So that's what. So sometimes people be like Chima, and they're like, "Who the hell is Chima?" Like, we don't know who that person. Like,
And if I remember correctly,
so,
we started calling you Chima because I think Fashad or David thought that you looked like Chima Ferguson, right?
yep. And then when I look back into it, I do not look nothing like him, like at all.
So yeah. So for people that don't know, Rahman Chima, you own a clothing company in
Yep.
based out of Okinawa, Japan, and you do a lot of really interesting street style stuff. I've seen some vests that you've made. I actually have a bag of yours, like the little side satchel. I don't know where I put it, but I use it all the time. I use it when I go out and shoot film photos, like on the street. I keep all my extra film and stuff in there. And you've got some really interesting stuff coming out. And I'm curious, like how does that process work? Do you design something on a computer and then send it off to like somewhere where it gets created, or do you create everything by hand and then send that off to somebody else?
So I have this 2 methods I do usually. So one is pretty much like you said, I kind of make the design and then I ship it to the factory like, hey, this is what I want. Send me bulk, or sometimes I'll be like make a bulk and then leave it in the factory, not factory, warehouse. And then when people order, you guys, so drop shipping, you guys handle it. I don't see the product at all anymore. And then certain other products, such as the collection that I'm coming out with, which is the Butterfly Effect collection. Some of the stuff is in-house. So I just order like the blank hoodies, and then I do the sewing and then printing and everything. That's why with those kind of products, I charge more because I'm by myself printing everything. So usually after I get off work, I sit here and start printing and then start shipping it out. So, but people never complain about the price. So, which I'm grateful for, because I know some people be like, oh, like why would I pay 70 for a hoodie when I can get a $70 hoodie that's well-known brand? So I'm always thankful and then humble of how people supporting my brand, because literally people don't have to really, they can support me by posting, and I'm all for that. I don't, when I tell people like support me, I don't ask them to like buy stuff. I'm not asking for them to buy anything. Literally just like, share, comment. That's more. I'm more grateful for that. But some people do buy my stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Like I appreciate that, because like they didn't really have to.
Yeah.
So, but going back to your question, so I got off track there. But
Oh, you're good.
yeah, so I do have the drop shipping method, and then also I do the in-house. So
Okay.
yeah, those are the 2 methods I use
So a
for
little
that.
bit of each one. And like, I mean, so when people talk about like prices, right? I think your prices are pretty on point. Like when you're talking about like, I don't know, Hanes, Nike, like stuff you can find at like local big box stores here in America, right?
Yeah,
They might be lower priced, but that's because they're mass manufactured. They're made by some kid in a sweatshop in China, and everybody has that shirt, you know? So
exactly.
why should somebody pay more money for something else? Well, because it's different, because it's supporting
Yeah,
somebody that's creative. It's not going to a big corporation, and it's cool. Like it's solid quality stuff. Everything I've seen come from you, it doesn't look like subpar. Like it looks on point with what quality should be, and
yeah,
the prices are really not bad, especially considering it's coming from Japan. Like
yeah.
anytime you order stuff from Japan, they rack up the prices, man.
Oh yeah.
I tried to just get some UFO like yakisoba the other day, right? And it was going to be like $100 for me to ship it over here. So that
Yeah,
alone should be
crazy.
enough for it to be like, nah, dude, this price is pretty solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the collection you're working on right now, the butterfly collection, you've had a lot of interesting like pieces come out. I'm curious where you get inspiration for that. Are you like listening to music to do that? Is it stuff that you see in Japan? Is it stuff that you experienced in Chicago, or what goes into an idea when you're making a new collection?
So usually, most of the collection I make is like either what do you call it? Like what I experienced growing up, or what I see when I went to Chicago or Taipei or Tokyo or Osaka, Florida, wherever I went. Like whatever I saw that influenced me, that's what I'll come up with. And then I think the last collection was Undokai, meaning like the sports day for Japan. And I experienced that when I was growing up because I went to Japanese school.
Hmm.
And that was the first collection I was able to produce. What is it called? Athletic wear, which was a tracksuit, top and bottom tracksuit, which is the material is pretty. What do you call it? It's like it cools your body down, so absorb your sweat and it kind of just cool you off, kind of thing. Kind of like a dry fit kind of material.
Okay.
And I was really happy with the outcome of the product. I'm all about quality. Starting off the quality, I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. It wasn't that great. Like some of the prints were kind of off. Certain vinyl came off pretty easy, and then I start to see and notice that. So I kind of sat back and be like, you know what, like I need to make sure pull out the best quality. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So like every collection has a meaning behind it. This upcoming collection, which is the Butterfly Effect collection. Uh, if I don't know if you peeped it, but some people haven't peeped it yet. But all the picture that I took are like model, except the one with the butterfly hoodie one. But most of the picture I took was where we used to hang out at Baba Park.
Oh no way, really? Where do you have those
Yeah.
photos posted?
It's on my Instagram. I haven't posted all of it yet,
Okay.
but most of the picture it was inspired because of remember when we used to at the Baba Park? There's a skate park, but then on the up the hill, there's like a little hut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like where all the
Yeah,
where we used to like want to skate down it, but it lands in the grass.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have some pictures there, and there's another one that's kind of in the cut where you go up the hit, like up the dirt road, and there's like a little sitting place.
Okay.
I took a picture there, and then I also took a picture in front of my mom's old house where,
Okay.
like me, Fashad, David, pretty sure you came by. Like, everybody was just in the front of the house,
Yeah.
just chilling.
I tried to pull up the
So
photos, but I couldn't. I couldn't. Is it on your? Is it? So let me ask you one thing really quick. Is it pronounce? Are you pronouncing it Babylon or Vavilon with a V?
it's a, with the V. It's
With a V.
Vavalon.
Vavilon. Okay, that's
Yep.
what I thought it was. Is it on the Vavilon Instagram or on your Instagram?
It's on the Vavalon Instagram, but I actually hasn't posted yet. But
Oh,
like
okay.
one of this picture right here, oh, it's kind of bright, my bad.
Hey, no worries.
So this one, oh, right here. This one, that's the four steps, the
Oh
animal
yeah,
cracker stairs.
yeah, man. Because that was off the side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like that little tiny park nobody knows about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Nobody they went to, but nobody goes there now. But we used to go there all the time.
yeah.
And I also wanted to dedicate this collection for Fashad, who
Mm.
passed away. That was my big brother. And then I was like, I want to do this because the butterfly effect meaning behind it is something like small, like a small effect turned into like a big picture. Meaning, so meaning behind it is pretty much you guys from Kuka Kadena. So you, David, AJ Sherman, what is it, Fashad, and all those people, and who kind of, because you guys were older than me, but
Yeah.
you guys was kind of like you guys welcomed me like I was one of you guys. We all skated, and it was just a small family. And then I remember, I mean, don't get me wrong, we did some bad stuff, but
Yeah, yeah.
we
We
was
weren't the
always on the
greatest.
right track. We was always on the right track, and we always watch each other's back. And last time before he passed away, when I talked to him, he was like, because he was involved in those, gang and whatnot. And then what he told me was, is it okay if I curse or you gonna
Man,
blur it
you
out?
could
Kind
say
of.
whatever you want. I've got my podcast labeled as explicit,
Okay.
we can talk about whatever we want.
So what he told me was that you're not gonna join this gang shit. This is not for you, and this is not for me. Like this is not for nobody. This is not a joke. And he told me you graduate high school, you go to fucking college, and then pretty much told me to be better. And then he was like, I was like, all right, cool. So even when I graduated college, it was for myself, but it was also for him saying thank you for pushing me because when he was here, I thought being a gang was a cool thing. And then me, born in Oakland, I heard a story about gang. It's nothing to flex. It's life or death. And that's how we lost him. And then, it sucks to see that because I wish he was here, so we can all just talk and hang out and whatnot. But that's why I came up with the name Butterfly Effect because of him and you guys pushing me going the right direction. Look where I am. Like I finished high school, I finished college. Uh, you know, I'm working on my master. I have my clothing brand. That to me, that's a butterfly effect because of it, now it's getting a bigger picture. It's still working on it. There's a bigger picture ahead of me, but that's the whole behind it. And then that's why I picked the butterfly also because it's just, butterflies start off as a ugly, what do you call it, caterpillar looking thing, and then eventually you grow and become a beautiful butterfly. So that's the meaning behind it. So yeah, pretty much like I figure to answer your question, pretty much I do have meaning behind every collection I do.
Yeah, man, that's a
Oh,
that's something I really enjoy. I really enjoyed that breakdown of how that butterfly effect collection came up, especially because like, man, I see a lot of people creating stuff, whether it's a clothing line, photography, videography, whatever it is, and it seems like you've got like this intricate balance between like really cool clothes and really cool fashion ideas, and like who you are goes into every single thing. And like the
yeah,
way you've explained that, way you told me like where you took the photos, the meaning behind the actual butterfly effect name itself, like man, that's just like rooted in like when I see that now, I'm gonna think Chima, like every time I see that for sure.
yeah,
And yeah, you're right. Like it's kind of interesting how that butterfly effect thing works. Like the only reason that I met Fashad was because I used to skate, and the only reason I used to skate is because I saw one kid when I lived in Indiana when I was like 4 years
yeah,
old. I saw a kid skateboarding, and I thought it was cool. And the
yeah,
only reason I speak Japanese is because I met Toru, I met Hiro, I met Sean
exactly.
at Baba Koing, and they taught me
Yeah,
Japanese. And like it creates this whole my whole entire like existence now is based upon the days where we used to skate at Baba Coin for sure.
exactly. The simpler times, and it was just like in our group, there was never no hate. It doesn't matter what color your skin was or nationality was. We were always together, and that is why my brand, kind of like the slogan, is for everybody. Like the stuff that's going on in the states, I hate it. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff where, you know, everybody just get treated so unequally, and it's just like why can't we like we because we were able to do that. So what is so difficult for other people to do it? Because even like me being a half black and half Japanese kid going to Japanese school, I never really got bullied. I mean, they do look at me like who's this black dude? Like we never seen this black kid around, but then it wasn't never like no fuck you, da, 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 I don't like you, I don't like your comments. It was never like that. Like back then I feel like it was more peaceful. Or maybe it would everybody just hide it because they were just kind of ashamed to say that. But now everything is just so open and
Mm.
it just sucks to see it. And then that's why I just want to, with my clothing, I just want to show people like, hey, like this is for black people, this is for white people, this is for Mexicans, or whatever. Like we're all humans. Like, why are we labeling each other like that? Is what I'm saying. I just don't like that. That's why I want my clothing to be for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much like I said. That's a butterfly effect. It came from hanging out with you guys. We were just a whole bunch of nationality bunched up together,
Mm.
and was just like, go skate, go hang out, go park, whatever. Like it was just no hate. It was
Yeah.
just all love and supporting each other.
And like man, I try to explain to some people in the states like what it was like to grow up the way we grew up, and it's just so much different than what anybody's used to here. Even in places where they're multicultural, you know, it's not anywhere
Yeah,
close to what it was like where we grew up. Our group of friends was
exactly.
like such a kind of like a group of misfits, you know, like we had kids that were too white to hang out with their white friends and their black friends because they like rap music, but they also skate and they wear baggy jeans sometimes and skinny pants other
Yeah,
times. Like, well, you can come hang out with us, it doesn't matter, you know. Like
exactly.
Fashad was like always looked down on by all the teachers in school, all like a lot of
Yeah,
the authority figures because he had a really big problem with authority, you know. And so every time people saw him, they looked down at him. But then he would come skate with us, and it's just Fashad. We just hang out with him. We don't think anything of it, you know.
yeah.
And
He,
like for me, like I felt weird because like I grew up half in Japan and half in America, but I'm American. But I
yeah,
assimilated so much into Japan that like I started learning Japanese, and all my friends were Japanese. I spoke Japanese all day, every day. And then I felt like, man, I'm too Japanese for my American friends, and I'm too American for my Japanese friends. But like this group of people, I can always fit in with. And I think that,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how to solve the problems in the U.S., man. But I think that you definitely are contributing to good for sure with stuff like that by making something for everybody. And
exactly.
I think that's a big part of why people don't get along in the U.S. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as people make it seem like it is. I think the news makes it seem a lot worse, but it is still
Yeah,
there's still problems, you know. But I think a big problem is that it's still segregated here. Like you have a neighborhood that's often majority black, and then a neighborhood that's majority white, a neighborhood that's majority this, majority that. I think the reason that people like you and I can get along with a lot of different people is that we didn't grow up that way. I mean, my
yeah,
neighbors were from uh, Israel, Palestine, India, Japan at my high
right.
school. Even on the base at my high school, majority of the people there came from different backgrounds. You know, almost everybody
Yeah,
was mixed with something. So
exactly.
when I grew up that way, seeing everybody is pretty much the same. I mean, you eat different food and speak different language, but everybody thinks the same. Everybody really cares about the same stuff. It's hard to
Yeah,
really hate anybody, really, except stupid people.
exactly.
Except stupid people. I'm just joking, but
They doing the most sometimes.
yeah. So um, yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see that kind of stuff coming out of like instead of like fighting and being very negative about it, making something positive. I think that's something cool, man. Are you do you still speak Japanese like you do English, like same as before? I remember when we were younger, you used to be better at speaking Japanese than you were English, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't speak English actually at all. I was struggling to learn.
I remember when Fashad and
But
David were like trying to teach you like American slang and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now I think it's 50-50 because I do little I start translating stuff like on base.
Hmm.
I do like the management stuff, Ocean Breeze right now on Camp Foster, and I deal with contract labor, which is the Japanese people. So when I talk to them, like sometimes they want me to speak English to them so they can learn, but at the end of the day, like I'm trying to get things done. So I'm gonna talk to them in Japanese. So I get things done when I talk to contract labor people who like create the contract. I'll talk to them Japanese. So it's pretty good working here because my management's American, but then when I had to deal with the contractor, they're all Japanese, most of them.
Okay.
So it's pretty 50-50. So now it's kind of balancing out because before it was kind of like Japanese at one point. And when I was in Chicago, it was more of like a English because I didn't really run into Japanese people. Like only time I spoke Japanese when my mom called, but I was maybe like once or twice a week, and I was only for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but when I get back, I kind of balanced out again since I'm using both. So it's yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean. And man, like I've been back in the States now for 10 years, and my family doesn't speak Japanese. Nobody in my family speaks Japanese. I'm the only one. So
yeah,
like trying to keep up with it has been so difficult. But I mean, I had a job with a Japanese company for a while. I'm gonna switch to Japanese really quick. So anybody that's watching, if you don't speak Japanese, I mean, I don't know. We'll switch back to English in just a minute. But去年は日本からの製造会社で勤めていましたから、マーケティング部で本社翻訳と通訳よくしましたから、日本
mm,
語をコツコツ勉強して、ペラペラじゃなくてペラペラじゃないけど、まだ日本語を話せることがあるから、まあいい感じだと思うけど、沖縄に住んだ時に本当に日本人みたいに日本語を話すことができましたから、今はちょっと悪くなっていると思います。
うん。わかるわかる。だから僕もシカゴにいた時、やっぱ日本語を喋れなかったから、あんまり喋れなかったから、やっぱちょっとなまってしまって、沖縄帰ってきた時に、ちょっと、what is it? Like struggle. Like
うん。
ちょっと難しかった。でもやっぱ、なんだったっけ、漫画とか、お母さんともっと会うことになったから、だからもっと日本語を使うようになった。でも、やっぱ、アメリカにいるとやっぱ使わないから、やっぱ難しい。
うん、難しいだよね。でも最近はネットフリックスで日本の番組と映画をよくあるので、毎日日本語のテレビを見てるみたいなことで勉強する
あ
ことができる。
うん、そうした方がやっぱ覚えやすいし、やっぱ座って勉強するとやっぱ難しいんですよね。やっぱ本とか読むとちょっとdifficult。だからやっぱムービーとか、映画、テレビドラマとか見るとそっちの方が簡単、覚えやすいと思う。だから今はまあ俺日本に住んでるからやっぱファミリーマートとかローソン行ったらもう日本語だからやっぱ大丈夫だけど、
うん。
やっぱアメリカいるときはやっぱ、もう TV ドラマとか映画見ないとやっぱ忘れてしまうね。
うん、
うん。
やっぱり日本に住むときに、日本語を勉強と練習することはちょっと簡単になるね。
なる。うん。
座ると勉強するのは、うん、つまらないからあんまりしないですね。
うん。
漢字とかはまだ読めるけど、書くのは下手くそになってると思うよ。
俺も漢字は書けないね。もうまあ書けるやつもあるけど、やっぱもうこの携帯ですぐできるから、もう書き方がもうわからない。もう全部もうタイプとか、もう iPhone で全部訳して送ってるから、やっぱ書けって言われたらできない。だから北谷役場、
うん、
シティホール行っ
うん。
て漢字で書いてって言われたら、もうI'm like わからないから携帯ですぐ。
携帯で見ないといけないですね。
うん。
うん、じゃあそれはい今日の世界ですね、みんなはiPhone とか携帯でテクスティングをよくやっているけど、漢字はあんまり書かない今はね。
もうみんなカタカナとか、それかローマ字英語だけ
うん、
ど、日本語で
うん、
やる方がみんなそっちが簡単っていうから、やっぱあんまり、あといっぱい絵文字とかも使
うん、
うから、it's like,
うん。
ね。
Okay, we'll switch back to English now. Sorry, everybody who doesn't speak Japanese, but we have to appeal to the Japanese audience. And that was actually a test for me because, like I said, man, I haven't spoke Japanese like every day for a very long time, so I feel like I'm dying on it. But I did when I was in Japan, I did pass the JLPT at N2 when I was like 16. So like
Mm.
I really spoke it, and I've been trying to keep up with it. But man, like we were talking about, sitting down and studying Japanese is really difficult, especially when you don't
It,
have a class or a test or a reason to learn something, you know? So, like, what I do still is I will write a journal in Japanese.
yeah,
Like, I used to do it every day, but I don't do it anymore. I use maybe like
yeah.
once or twice a week, and I'll write out like everything that's happened. Not like a diary, but like explain, like, hey, there was a tornado over here today, and this thing happened, and this thing happened, and just write it all out. But even
Yeah.
then, like I'm noticing, man, I can't write kanji anymore. Like I keep forgetting I have to go on like jisho.org and check out for like certain words and like
Yeah.
certain kanji. It's kind of embarrassing, but I mean, I'm sure if I move back to Japan, I'll pick it up again pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Because right now, like even like talking casually in Japanese is a little bit harder because most of the time I use Japanese is during the business, like so business casual. So when I'm dealing with like the factories here or when I'm working with the like I said contract labor, so I have to use that proper. So when I talk to my Japanese friend, they be like, "Why are you talking all proper?" I'm just like, "Bro, like I don't know how to talk casual no more." But hey, I mean, at least I can get my point across. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, and man,
So
that's something that I never learned. I learned how to speak Japanese properly, but even when I worked for this Japanese manufacturing company here, and like in the marketing, like I was talking about, I never spoke business Japanese, and they hated that
mm,
because I would speak with like Okinawan slang and like
yeah,
roll my R's a lot and like So they asked me a question about something, and I'm like, ah, ma ne. Wakanayo. They're just like, wait, why are you talking like that to me? And I have to keep reminding them, like, well, I mean, I am American, so like, I'll speak
yeah,
Japanese, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but man, business Japanese is a whole nother language, though. It's so
it really
different.
is. It's like because if you don't say certain things certain way, they think we're disrespecting them. It's like no, it's just sometimes we just don't learn the business way. So it's yeah, because Japan's big on respect and the way you talk to them, to the elders, and I get it, but I deal with that a lot first time when I got the management position on base because there's some lady or other guy that worked there for 30 plus years, and then they're still working as a waiter or dishwasher, and then some 20-year-old dude come in and tell them what to do. They're kind of like, who you talking to? It's like, whoa, like I'm not here to disrespect you. I'm just being a manager. Just can you please do it? And I still respect them as like, because to me, that's what I learned in Japan. Like elders, you gotta respect them. So I respect them. I don't talk to them crazy. But that's what I had to teach some of the American managers. 'Cause I'm like, hey, like they've been here for 30 years, longer than you. Like just respect them. They're not just a worker. They've been here forever. They probably seen more stuff than you have. Just because they're a waiter or dishwasher or janitor doesn't mean you can disrespect them. Because in America, it's more about the position where you at. If
Absolutely.
you're eight, if you're 18-year-old and your manager, whoever that's below you, that's 30, 40, they don't. It does not matter. That's your manager. You have to respect them. But in Japan, it's a little different. So I had to kind of tell some of my managers, like, hey, like, we get it. You're a manager, but they've been here longer. They're older. Just respect them. And then if you respect them, they respect you, and then they'll work. Like, but that's the culture difference we have here. That I something I have to teach them. And then I always tell the older people too, like, hey, like the manager that I just spoke to, she's not trying to disrespect you. She just don't understand because the culture is different.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them that. So stuff like that.
And like that's a really good point, man. That's I mean, when I say I work for a Japanese company, I mean I don't mean that I worked for like Yamaha America. I mean I worked
Yeah.
directly for a Japanese company. So everybody I worked for is Japanese, and I worked with the manager there who's full Japanese from Osaka and like did not speak any English at all. So I had to do all his translation, like even help him
Mm,
like with doctor visits. I had to call set up appointments
yeah.
for him. And you're right, like the way respect is given in America is very highly motivated by what position you hold.
Yep.
Almost like when people ask you what you do for a living here, they're not really
Exactly.
curious about what you want to do. They're trying to find out what you do so they can figure out how much they should respect you and how much they should talk down to you.
Yep.
So when people ask me what I do, if I say, "Oh, I work on the military base," they give me a bunch of respect because they think, "Oh, the military
Yep.
is really cool." But if I tell them like, "Oh, I work as a photographer," they think that's a cool job too, so they give me this much respect. But if I said I work as a janitor, then they start talking like differently and they look at you differently
Exactly.
because they think you don't have as much money. And if you don't have as much money, you're not worth as much. And the Japanese company I worked for there, it was the Americans hated it, but the way they did their management structure was very Japanese. They their managers were promoted based on how long they had been at the company. So whether they were good
Yep.
or not, even if they're not a really good worker, if they've been there for 15 years and put in the hours of work, they get promoted to managers, and then they switch out different managers. So you're a manager
Yeah.
one day, and then you're not a manager another day because that's a very Japanese thing to do, to switch everybody out.
Switching everybody out. Yep.
And in America, if you do that, that's considered like a demotion, and that's considered like you're not doing a good job. So
Yeah. So they.
it was something Americans had to get used to, and I had to try to explain it. They just never could understand it. But
Yeah.
um,
You're like no.
yeah. So talking about the differences between America and Japan, man, what kind of differences have you noticed between like your clothing being received in Japan versus America? Do you see people enjoying it more in the stateside, or do you see people in Japan really supporting it as well? Like actual Japanese people, not Americans that live in Japan.
So what I'm kind of, I'll be honest, but what I'm really struggling right now is actually to get a Japanese customer, which is which I really wasn't expecting it. Uh, More people buy my most customer that buys my stuff is from Europe and US and some Canada. And I think that's the main three, like the Europe, the US, and then Canada. Japan, I have some Japanese customers, but uh, I don't know if it's just Okinawa. I'm not sure because most of the customer that buys my stuff from Japan is from mainland,
Okay.
and then people that buys from Okinawa is mainly like the people I know, or or people that works on base, like the military people that likes my stuff. Like, cause I sometimes wear my stuff to go to the club or bar when before the whole thing happened. And they'd be like, "Oh, I like that." Da, 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 da. And then, like I said, I make the vest and whatnot. And then for military people, they'd be like, "You got a vest? You making vest?" I'm like, "I want it." And then I was kind of shook because I'm like, "Y'all wear that every day, and you want to wear that for fashion?" He's like, "Yeah, that's dope." I'm like, "Okay." Like, and they bought it, but it was mainly the military people that bought the vest. And
The vest
then
is
for
pretty cool,
Japanese
man.
people, I appreciate it. So yeah, that's what I'm struggling really. And then I try to, but I think with that said, I think it's the culture thing. Like they rather follow that's what's trending in the States. So right now, I think I'm not sure like Bait and Eight, Supreme.
Yeah,
Uh,
Supreme has got to go, man. It's been around for too long and it's getting old, in my opinion.
and then it's like kind of simplest red and white. Like I mean, I respect the brand, but I look at Bobby Hundreds, the Atom Bomb. He's more creative, but then he sell his shirt for a reasonable price. But Supreme over here with the just says Supreme in the middle for $100+. I'm not sure. I don't get that, but I feel like Japanese people rather go for that route than supporting these upcoming brands. But again, like I don't give up. So I just keep attacking. Like, hey, like this is probably better than Supreme. You don't gotta spend whatever amount of money you're spending on Supreme. If you're spending 150 on a shirt, you can get about 5 shirt with my brand. With almost probably the same material and more better design, more colorful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And I mean, do you really want to go to a club or a bar wearing the same shirt as every other dude in there? Like wearing the same kind of clothes, same style. I mean, you got it's just like robots, you know? Like you support
yeah,
local stuff. I mean, that being said, man, I don't have a whole lot of clothing that I get from other creatives because pretty much wear the same thing, right? I wear
yeah,
black or blue jeans and a white shirt or black shirt, and that's pretty much it because that's just my style, you know?
yeah,
But as far as like hoodies and things go, I love getting lots of different kinds. I don't want to get the same thing as everybody else, you know. And I don't necessarily know if I want to support a certain brand. Like I don't buy Nike. I don't wear Nike anything. No Nike shoes. No Nike anything. It's not because they have low quality, but like I just don't want to support that brand personally.
mm,
I feel like they do a lot of unsavory stuff and some stuff I'm not really cool with.
yeah.
But it makes sense to support something that's just it's different. And I wonder, I don't know what it is about the Japanese style. I don't really know much about the Japanese fashion industry, but um, do you know Earl Standiford by chance?
No.
Okay, so Earl, he went to OCSI. He's one of my good friends. He's a he's a photographer.
Oh, Earl, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Earl, he's a photographer in Tokyo right now, and he was telling me about how business when you're a small business in Japan, it's so much different than the US because in Japan, people are not approachable. You can't just
Yeah.
walk into somebody's office and say, "Hey, this is what I do. This is what I've got. Do you want to buy it?" You have to go get business cards. You have to take people out to eat. You have to develop a relationship before you can start offering all that stuff. You have to get them drunk multiple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
Right.
and I don't know if it's different in the fashion industry, but man, I think it'd be pretty cool to see like your clothes like at Uniqlo or something like that. You know, like see
Yeah.
certain lines come out. Do you have any like physical locations? Like, do you have a pop up store or anything like that?
So I did one at Gate 2, under Hip Hop Paradise, owned by Mr. Kato, Rashawn's father.
Okay,
And then, yep. And he was like, "Hey, you can throw some stuff in there." And I was like, "All right." And then he gave me the opportunity to do that. And 100% I appreciate it. But I just couldn't get that, what do you call it? Customer base, like that fashion side. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just maybe because it's Okinawa. I'm not sure. Or maybe it was a location. Because I mean, Gate 2 is pretty much known for clubs and bars and strippers and all that kind of stuff, not
yeah,
really a fashion.
yeah.
So,
And from what I
yeah,
remember about Gate Two, the general consensus of Gate Two, I mean, not to knock anybody that has their stuff there, but
yeah,
that's where you can go get a lot of stuff that's not real, that looks real, that might be a little cheap. So putting your stuff
yeah,
out there, it might give a bad representation of what you actually have too.
exactly. So I only made 2 sales when I did the pop up, and then after that, I kind of got busy with work because I was like being a manager on Foster and trying to do this business, but then his shop closes at 9. I get off at 10. It was just hard to manage it. So I mean, Mr. Kittle, he understand. He was like, "Hey, like I understand you're busy. Uh, he was like, "Hey, like you got all this stuff left." I told him I was like, "Hey, like." If the customer come, you can just give it out, kind of like giveaway, and I'm okay with it. And after that, I'm cool. Like I appreciate it, but I just can't jug right now because I need a stable income just to support what I need and then to support this business. And he was like, I totally understand. So he was really understandable. So I appreciate that about him. And right now I'm just like not trying to do pop up at all at the moment. But uh Chris, he's from Get Kicks. He not kind of he helped me out do that little pop up for that sneaker con event in Okinawa 2019, I think. 20 I don't know. It was like in 2019, but that was actually turned out really well. That's when then like I kind of got the spark of like my brand being known out there and whatnot. So yeah, it just I think it just here is just challenging in Okinawa because of how Okinawa is behind compared to Tokyo. Whatever that's going on in Tokyo, Okinawa do it like maybe a year later.
Man, Okinawa time is something for real. It's absolutely
Yeah,
real. It's hard to really care about everything that's going on outside of Okinawa because you've got beautiful beaches and you're basically on a resort retirement island. So why would you care about anything else? You're already where you want to be when you're retired, you know?
exactly.
Do you think it's the American side of you or the Japanese side of you more that goes into the style of the clothes? Because to me, it looks very American style, but there's got to be some Japanese side in there also. Because I mean, you are half Japanese.
Yeah, so I guess it's 50-50 for me.
I guess with
Uh
the Undokai stuff you said came from when you were doing sports day stuff, so that is Japanese.
yeah, so I do just kind of mix a lot, but then that's the funny part because Japan people really don't buy a shirt or a hoodie with anything that's Japanese. So if I put Babylon Japanese, they kind of back off. On the other hand, Americans when they see that they're like Japanese, I don't know what it says, but I'm gonna cop it. Like that's how it works. And
Same thing with
Japanese
tattoos.
people, exactly, they'll put goat butt and they be like, oh, it's dope, it's kanji, and it's like sure. But with Japanese, they rather go for more like alphabets. They rather go towards that because I feel like when they get Japanese words, they kind of look too deep into it. So if I were to put heart or love or whatever, and they'd be like, well, why that? And it's like, bro, just. But in American, they don't even look too deep. They're just like, that's kanji, that's dope. I want to get it. That's how it works. So I try to mix it up, but usually it will come out in more of an art. So I made that the camel hat with the where it says Babylon, but then there's a Japanese crane on it. So I just put those kind of twists in it, or I put it in the name. So I make the collection name in Japanese or the product name in Japanese, and that's what I put in. I don't want to put too much Japanese, but then also I would love to put Japanese twist into it with the American twist, and just kind of like me. I'm just mix up everything, and then
Yeah,
just kind of put that and come out with it. So that's my main thing. I guess I can say I do put here and here a lot.
yeah, man. That I can kind of see what you're saying now, like with the Japanese crane. Like I've seen little tiny things on some of your clothing where I'm like, oh yeah, that's Japanese, like for sure. I kind of forgot about a lot of that, but yeah, now to think about it too, like it's probably harder to push a lot of stuff in Okinawa because like the weather's always the same. You know, even in the winter, like it's still
Yeah,
pretty warm. So like you can only
it
market
is.
so much of like colder weather clothes. You know, like hoodies for sure you could get away with, but like once you start to get bigger jackets or like things that are heavier, people are probably less likely to buy it there, right?
Yeah, they will not buy it. Like they will either say some stuff I heard was like, "Where am I gonna wear this?" It's like I don't know. When you go to Tokyo, it's like I don't know, but it's just like stuff like that happens. So a lot of high demand in Okinawa was swim shorts, tank tops, bucket hats. So mainly the summer stuff because I mean it is warm. I mean I'm wearing a hoodie right now, but I can literally go outside with the shirt and I'll be perfectly fine. It just we have a cold breeze now, so I would just wear the hoodie and stuff. But yes, that's why I try to target. I mean, I'm not saying forget Okinawa, but I'm targeting more people in Osaka and Tokyo, which has season. They have fall, winter, summer, and all that kind of stuff. Here it's kind of like summer, 7 months of the year, and then the last 5 is about maybe gets a little winter slash fall maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah. Were you in
So
Okinawa when it snowed for the first time in like 100 years?
I was in Chicago for
You were
when
in
I heard that,
Chicago?
I was like, did it really snow? Come on. And they're like, yeah, it really did it. I was like, that's crazy. But then my mom was like, no, it didn't. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I saw some people post video of it and it was like like I don't know what we call it here in the US, but like it's not real snow. Like it's kind of snow, but it's not, like
Yeah.
it's not going to stick on the ground. It just kind of comes down a little bit. I mean, I'm in Ohio, so I'm in this city now called Dayton, which is north of Cincinnati. I'm 4 hours away from Chicago. Like I'm really close to
Oh,
where you were. So the weather's pretty much the same. So,
same. Yeah.
we get hot summers, it'll get 100 degrees in the summer, and then in the winter it'll get down to negative 10 degrees some days too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see I don't know, it's in Okinawa the weird thing about Okinawa's weather is that some people will still wear like winter clothes in Okinawa's winter, which I find
Yeah.
hilarious because it's not cold. Like majority of the
Yeah.
time, it's like it's got to be like what you could probably still have days in Okinawa where it's like 30 degrees Celsius. Like,
Yeah. It gets super
yeah,
cold sometimes, but
yeah,
not to the point you need to pull out a snow jacket.
yeah,
But
absolutely. And it's always like at night for like a couple hours, it might get a little cold, but like in
yeah.
Fahrenheit, we're talking like what? Like 50 degrees maybe sometimes, but like most of the time it's still
Yeah.
in the 60s. Whereas here,
Exactly.
you get such a big balance between like, or such a huge difference between hot summer weather where you can't wear jeans, and then like
Yeah.
really cold winters where you have to wear multiple pants and like two pairs of socks. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool here to
Very.
see the fashion change and like, is that something that you miss seeing? Like, do you miss seeing like that really big difference in change of fashion between like summer, fall, winter, spring?
Yep. So in Chicago, because like when I for my school, which was weird, but it started in September, and when everybody started in August, but September it was like in Chicago it was still hot, so people were wearing like the summer fit kind of, and then it gets kind of colder, so they got the cardigan coming out, and then the light jacket, the bomber jacket, and then the winter head. It's like the puffy ones with the spur on it. And it's like that's crazy. And that's why Chicago was such a. When I first got selected to go to Chicago for my college, I was like, of course, typical people when they hear Chicago, oh my God, gang violence, shooting. Da, 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 da. Out. Not gonna lie, I was scared because I'm like, man, like, what if I get caught into one of those, commotions? But when I got to the city first year, I'm not even gonna lie, I was homesick. I was like, yo, I want to go home. Like, fuck this place. I want to leave. Like, it just can't. Because I was so used to every people being polite. Excuse me, thank you, bowing, and it's all that. And then when I got to Chicago, they don't even say excuse me. They bump into you and be like, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, hey, no, no, I don't want no trouble. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, so I was kind of but then my sophomore year, that's when something clicked in me that I want to do fashion because of, I mean, I talked to a couple people, met them in clubs and in school who was in fashion industry. And from there, like when I was a kid, I always wanted to do, not always, but I always loved fashion. So, I mean, actually my grandma and my grandpa, they own these fashion boutique stores. So my grandma sell clothes. So I was always around that kind of environment. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's. I want to do that. I want to do that. Like, why not try it? Like at first I was just scared because us we go through that. Graduate high school, graduate college, get a real job, call it a day,
Yeah.
and then just impress our parents. And I was always kind of like the pattern. But then I was like, no, like I want to do what I want to do, which was fashion. And I love art. I mean, I can't draw, but I love to I like looking at art. I like to doodle a lot. I create some weird characters, and it sucks I lost all the books, but that's what I like to do. But yeah, and then since sophomore year, I fell in love with Chicago. To
Mm.
this day, I still love it. I miss it. I want to go back. Uh, just people were just amazing. Like they were in their own bubble, but the city was beautiful, day or night. It doesn't matter. It was always beautiful. and then I missed the smell of the city. It was not trying to be weird. It didn't stink, but it was just kind of like that city smell and the city vibe.
I know what you mean. The smell of
Eh,
cement's way different than the smell of the ocean.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, and then I don't know, just every morning it just kind of gives you that energy, like you gotta grind, like like it was just always pushing me, and I can't even describe. I just love Chicago, and then if I have a chance to go back, I want to go back and not live there, but like maybe do some little pop up or go to an event or sneaker con, whatever. I just want to do something like that. But I definitely want to visit Chicago once this whole COVID stuff calms down.
Yeah.
So
How's the COVID stuff affected your business? Has it slowed down quite a bit, or have you been pretty much the same?
it did slow down, um, but it slowed down. But like I said, I was able to sit back and learn how to sew. Because before the COVID, I didn't know how to sew at all. Like I didn't know how to cut and sew, measurements, fabric. Like I didn't know nothing about that. And then something was telling me, I was just like, I'm supposed to be a fashion designer slash fashion brand, like a brand owner. And you don't know anything about fabrics. You don't know how to sew. That means you don't know how these shirts are being made. You just putting stuff on. And I was like, that's true. So I start watching YouTube videos and how to do certain things. I asked my auntie and my mom, like, hey, like how do you sew? Like like what you do? Like is it hard? And they kind of just show me just for a little bit. And I was like, all right, cool, cool, cool. And then that was kind of it. But then later on, I was like, no, like I need to learn this. Like I need to learn this because if I learn how to cut and sew, even these simple hoodie, I can literally put something on and make your literally one in one your only kind of thing. So that's what happened. Business wise, it slowed down. I look at the statistics and whatnot, but like compared to last year, sales wise, it wasn't well. I'm not gonna go in detail with the numbers, uh, but the traffic of people that's looking and interacting with me, and then the amount of time I got like asked a question or like, hey, can you come to the interview? Hey, can you provide an outfit for a music video? Hey, like I want to wear your this in your music video. Hey, like I'm a on radio station. Can you come in? Da 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 da. Da. And a lot of opportunities came up, just like what happened to you. Happened to you. Like you just opportunities keep popping up. So I'm actually glad that happened because of that. So I took the COVID as it was a growth for my brand. It grew stronger, and I was able to build the foundation. But business, it slowed down bad because everyone's kind of like, one of my friends was like, yeah, I want to buy it, but it's like I can't go nowhere. So it's like I'll just buy it when everything opens back up. And I was like,
Mm,
I mean, like that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. But I'm pretty sure that's how everyone was thinking because when I dropped that Ondokai collection, that's when COVID hit, and I was like,
ah,
fuck. I was like, man, this shit sucks.
the worst timing to drop a collection would be right when a pandemic hits, for sure.
Yep. And then everybody was like, "Oh man, it's dope, but we can't go nowhere." I'm like, "You right? Like, we can't go nowhere." I was like, "Man."
Man,
So
that's too
yeah.
bad. Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to cop a hoodie. I'm gonna have to get something. I'll wear it in my next podcast. Well, I've got 3 podcasts to shoot today. I'm busy with
Oh.
podcasts right now. So I did one with Earl last night. I just finished editing it today. I've got 2 more after this. I've got one on Thursday. I got one on Saturday, one on Sunday, one on next Monday too. And I'm trying to make it like drop one on Monday, drop one on Friday. So I'll have like two a
Okay.
week for a long time. But yeah, I'm gonna have to cop one of those for sure because like I said, I always wear the same clothes, you know? So for me to be on this, I can't wear the same shirt every time I do this. So I was struggling to try to figure out what shirt to wear because I've got black shirts, I've got white shirts, and I already wore my other shirts. And well, I
Yeah.
wear that or I wear a flannel every day. I mean, the flannel that's my go-to though. Is I'm huge with
That's true. That
flannels.
that hasn't changed
Yeah.
since
Yeah,
Okinawa.
yeah.
You love
So
the flannels.
how do your sizes work? Do you have like when you say large, is that a Japanese large? Is that American large? Because like me, I'm in between large and extra large, you know? So if I get a large, sometimes it's too small. Because I'm a big guy
Mm.
now. I used to be small when I was in Okinawa, but like man, I'm 6 foot, I'm 210 pounds. So when I put on a hoodie, if it says L, sometimes I stretch out my arms and my it comes up like that. So I'm
Oh yeah,
curious
yeah, yeah.
how does it fit?
So sizing for like the hoodies, uh most of them are American size. So the hoodie that we have that's coming out, that is American size, but it's this new fashion called the oversized hoodie,
Okay.
meaning it fit perfect, but it's like that little more baggier style.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, it's not that like the perfect fit. So that's the little trend right now. Because if you kind of scroll through kind of Instagram too, a lot of Instagram models and Instagram guy models too, but it's like they wear like a lot of oversized shirt, or sometimes they do tuck their shirt in with the slim jeans or the slacks or whatnot. So that's like the thing. So that's where it gets a little tricky when it comes to size for that one. So I will probably explain it on the website when I drop it, but it just if for girls, like if you want a medium, just get the small because of the size. Like I know a lot of girls like that perfect fit, but some girls do like the oversized look. So the small will be perfect because it will be in that middle part where small oversized, but then also it can fall as a medium. And then for large, it can also fall as extra large, but then still is a large. So it's just up to how their body shape and your height, pretty much.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's a tricky part when it comes to size.
Yeah, I mean, especially just when you sell internationally. I mean, everybody's got different sizes for everything. I mean, even shoe sizes,
Yep,
like U.S. shoe sizes are different than sizes you see in Europe or the UK.
yep.
That's just something I was curious about. But man, it sounds like you got it all planned out. Like it sounds like you know exactly what your problems are before they show up. So you've got a solution for your problems like right off the bat. So it's not even a problem anymore. It's just a solution.
Yeah. So, but again, that took me 3 years. The first 2 years, I was like, oh my god, like this is small, but it felt like extra small, and I'm just like, damn, that's why every interview and stuff I go to, I tell people like the honest thing. It's like I messed up so much. It was never a perfect it was never a perfect journey. I messed up. I lost so much money making a bullshit product just because I was in a rush. Just because I put at the time, like I was like, hey, I'm gonna drop something, blah. And since I already posted multiple times, now I feel like I need to put it out by then, and that's when I rushed. And when I did that, I lost so much. I guess I want to say trust, because people were like, I was making good product, and then just because of that one collection that I rushed it, it came out all messed up, and they're like, some people didn't come back anymore, and then I learned from that, and I was like, damn, like that's not good, but everything is a journey, and I learned a lot, and finally this third year, I was able to kind of like, all right, like I learned my lesson, let's not make that same mistake again.
Like that is the best thing you can do as a business owner is to make all these mistakes at the beginning. I mean, nobody expects you to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect at the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean, we all take these shortcuts and try to make money quick because when we're first starting a business, we think like, "Oh, the most important thing to me is to make cash back." So if I'm
exactly.
not selling, I'm not making any money back, but we don't think about the fact that like, well, you put out a subpar product really quickly, you'll get fast money, but it's going to slow down really quick, it's going to stop really quick. So,
Yep.
man, that's cool that you. I mean, 3 years is pretty quick to learn stuff like that. A lot of people don't learn it until way later on, and they're way more deep into it. So, I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that you got that all figured out earlier on. And I mean, even if it was lower quality, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't terrible. I mean, it seems like you're like ever since we were younger, like trying to skate and everything like that. You kind of seem like a perfectionist. Like you want everything to be the way you want it to be. You know. So,
Yeah.
uh, man, I'm excited to see all this new stuff you got coming out for sure.
Appreciate it. I'm excited too. It just this one, like I explained, what's the butterfly effect means. So to me, this is one of the big collection. I was like, I'm excited. Um, got a little COVID twist in it because I got the mask too. So mask is gonna be around forever for sure. Like even after the COVID, people are gonna be kind of paranoid. So people are gonna always wear masks, but it's gonna be more of like a fashion statement from now on. Um, So the one I have right now is like the reflective one. So it says Babylon in all kind of cursive, but when you take a picture, it just kind of just reflects. Now you can take a picture with it and it will look nice.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you sewing them together. Like you had it, you were live on Instagram, I think, and you were like making all the
Yeah.
masks and stuff. Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. especially like because I mean, if masks are going to stay around forever, do you really want to look like you're wearing a diaper on your face all day every day?
Exactly.
Like, why not?
No,
Why not kick it up? Look a little more fashionable, you know? Well, hey man,
exactly.
I gotta get going for some other podcasts, and we've done quite a bit of time already. So
Okay.
I think we got to start wrapping this up. I mean, in a good way. I'm glad we had this long
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
And
yeah.
man, I gotta apologize. I'm so sorry for coming in late. I was
Oh, no,
thinking,
it's okay.
man, this whole time difference has got me confused. Yesterday was fine because I did it with Earl. He's in Tokyo. But for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I just wrote down the wrong time for today. So I'm glad that I was on my phone because I was here like editing stuff, so I was able to hop on real quick. But man, what do you want to plug? What do you want to let people know about what you've got going on? Like, when is your next collection drop? Where can they find you? Where can they order your stuff?
Okay, so the next collection, well, the title is Butterfly Effect. It's dropping November 1st, and the reason why I picked that date is because that's when the daylight saving changes. So that's when I'm gonna drop it. Uh, so that's gonna be a little tricky, but it's gonna come out Japan time, meaning it's gonna be 31st for the stateside.
Okay, so a Halloween
So
drop for the stateside.
pretty much. And
Okay.
then for Japan, I do it the first, and that's how it's gonna go. You can check out the what is it called, VavalonClothing.com, and then it should pop up everything. Right
Eh,
now,
how do you
we're
spell
doing
that, by the way?
VaVyLon, clothing, CLOTHING .com, VavalonClothing.com. Just go in there, go to product section, and you will see all my new product will be at the top, and then from there we'll go on. And then I think that's about it. And then for Instagram and Twitter is Babylon_official. Just follow me there, and then yeah, and then we'll keep you updated with the upcoming collections and looking for models, photographer, whatever. You will see it up there. And I usually go on live to show how I make my products, just to kind of build that trust with the customer that this is not no game for me. I love doing this. If I can make this my full time eventually, I will love to do it as of my full time. So I just want to show you guys. I just want you to be where I'm sitting by watching my live. So just yeah, stay tuned for that one.
Absolutely. Everybody go check it out. Chima's a real cool guy. He's got some really awesome stuff. I've ordered from him before. Like I said, I got the side satchel. It was a real simple process. Go on the website, click what I wanted, figured out exactly where I was going to get sent to. I got it real quick too, so it was not hassle process at all. Yeah, check it out. Vavalon Official at VavalonClothing.com to check out his new butterfly effect that's dropping the first in Japan and 31st, so you get it in time for Halloween. Get the orders in for Halloween at least. But hey, man,
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, man. It was really good catching up. Good seeing you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It was great. I appreciate you. I appreciate you even for considering me on this podcast. I
Yeah,
really
for sure.
appreciate it.
For sure, man. We got to do this again sometime. We'll talk about another collection you got coming out, or we'll have like a specific topic. Because right now I'm kind of talking general stuff, and like one topic or two topics. But we'll talk about something specific next time.
Okay.
All right, man. Good talking to you. Let's got it.
All right. All right. Let's go to this. Thank you.
Bye.